On behalf of HCO, I would like to welcome everybody to Changes Can Happen Fellowship in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to thank Bishop Walter Thomas for giving us the opportunity to be part of this family of conventions. We've been coming to this convention for the last 15 years, and this is the first year that we're having to do this visually. HCO have been around for a long time, and we've been working with churches all over the years. But one thing that we've noticed, some of the trend that has started about maybe 4 years ago is now being accelerated by what the COVID pandemic brought to us. Traditional churches has not been the recent trends we've been seeing. These days, churches are gravitating towards community worship facilities. As they gravitate towards serving the community, so do the aesthetics and the buildings we build for them. We've noticed that a lot of churches don't look traditional anymore. No longer do you have the bell towers or the arched windows. What you see these days is very, very vivid colors, a very good use of glass. The way you glass are very dynamic. You see things like this prototype building that we're doing. If you look at it, you can't even see a church. It doesn't even look like a church. It looks like a civic center. That is the way we've been seeing a lot of these new churches, because that's what attracts the new millennium. The next church I'm going to show you here, you can see is a very dynamic entry. The entrance is very, very dynamic. It looks like a jail, a stone jail. And that is what, most younger generation, the newer generation, those are what attracts them. If you look at the colors, look at the way we use glass, look at the way we use light, everything is very vivid. We hope that this is going to help you as you try to look into building your new facility. We're here to guide you and educate you on this trend that we've been seeing churches do. And I'm here with Andre, who is going to talk a little bit about the trend. And then Andy Minton with my office will also talk about it.
Thank you, Henry. As Henry said, church design is shifting from traditional forms and aesthetics to more modern and contemporary forms and aesthetics. For example, we are using different material, more concrete, glass, even bringing color into the design of the building, combining with different colors. And the buildings aren't necessarily church-looking, or they look more like community centers or office buildings, but they're going toward the trend toward the community. The shift is also toward community focus, away from traditional sanctuary focus inside the building. So the trend is shifting from traditional forms and aesthetics and to more modern forms and aesthetics. We're shifting and getting the attention of millennial generation, and that would include material like more concrete, steel, and innovative ways of using glass, again with trying to harmonize that with different color. Also different forms of buildings, for instance, a more commercial building look than a traditional church building look. But also blending back with brick and stone, which are traditional uses, but in forms that are more aesthetically pleasing toward millennial. We're shifting to more focus on the community versus being focused toward more the sanctuary, blending the worship spaces and community spaces into one building. And we're not talking about Christian education, more so as academic education being blended in with the traditional worship spaces. You kind of got the best of both worlds. You got the old building and the focus and the shift of the ministry to the community, and the addition does that. But within new buildings, though, we're blending them really well together, where it's all incorporated into one design, where the worship center and the community and education center are in one building. That also would include things like housing of different types, and Andy's going to take it from here and talk more about the housing.
So expanding on what Henry and Andre have described regarding churches and their expansion and reaching out with their ministries to the communities, I want to focus on two different examples in the housing community. One example is a variety of individual buildings that would be in a campus setting, where you would have one facility for worship space, one facility for recreation, possibly education or outreach programs, and then the other one would be a housing building, multi-story or single-story, depending on the needs of the community, that would be all in a campus-type setting, similar to what you would see on most universities and community colleges. The second example is where they take all these various entities or components of outreach in the community, the various things that the community needs, and they minister to them by creating one single building, and it is separated visually on the outside, but on the inside it all flows together. This example has a daycare facility and sanctuary together. They all share a common entrance. You have a gymnasium that can be used for recreation and or daycare activities. And the community center portion is kind of in the center of that, and it feeds off of the other components of the facility. And then you have the senior housing in this example, which is on the end. And these components all work together, and they're designed where they can be used throughout the week. So these are two very common approaches that we see a lot over the last decade or so. But regarding the COVID situation, which Henry specifically focused on, another trend that we're seeing is bringing improvements to the HVAC, the mechanical systems, by doing two different things. One would be increasing the airflow throughout the facility so that any viruses or components that are unwanted in the air get through the filters faster, which is a fairly easily thing to do and very cost effective. And the other is by creating ionization of the air, which basically makes ions stick to any viruses, including the COVID virus. And so with all the various items that both Andre and I have talked about, I'd like to have Henry kind of wrap up and give a conclusion to all these various items that we've discussed.
Again, as Andre and Andy discussed, churches are changing, so is the society. You know, a lot of things happened in 2020, and some of those things are going to keep going forward as we transition into this new era. And that is the reason why we're here supporting all the ministries involved in this. We would love to get involved with you, set up an appointment, come in and talk to you about your options. If you're looking at doing something, we will give you the best option. If you can call us, we can come and take a look at your facility and advise you as to what you need to do going forward. Just give us a call. And if you need to know about us, go to our website, www.hcoarchitects.com. Again, we will be more than happy to take any question anybody may have following this short presentation. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to a successful building project that you're going to be doing next.